Hello everyone, welcome once again to Inspirational Explorer. In this tutorial video, I will be showing us how to use Photoshop, or let me call it getting started with Photoshop. Right here, this is the interface that you will see the moment you launch your Photoshop. This is everything that will appear to you. Although some might not be visible to you, depend on the kind of subscription you are on. If you are on free subscription, some of these might not be readily available to you. This is a paid version of Adobe, so I have access to everything right here. However, if you just launch your Photoshop for the first time and you can't find this interface right here, just click on Edit, go right down to Preferences, then click on General. Once you click on General, make sure this auto show the home screen is checked. Click on it, then click OK. Once you are done with that, you will restart your Photoshop by closing this here. The moment you close this, then you restart your Photoshop, you will automatically have the interface. You might not see this. That's because you are not running a paid version. But if you are working with a paid version, you should automatically see things like this right here. For this is the home where we are currently. To learn, this is where you get to learn some new things that we have in Photoshop, how to make use of them. This is Photoshop 2021, so we have a lot of handy tool here. For you to see this interface, you have to be connected to the internet. You'll see more tutorials here, how things are being done, then you get use of them. Your work, right here, if you are connected to Adobe Lightroom, you want to edit picture, you can easily bring them into Adobe Lightroom. However, to enjoy this best, you can install Lightroom on your PC, then you open it on your desktop and you work with it. Cloud documents, this is for those that have paid subscription. This cloud document, this icon you see right here showing something like cloud, is where all your files that are in the cloud are. The moment you click on it right here, it's going to show you all your cloud documents that you saved. Shared with you, this is where we have documents that are being shared via cloud. We have it here. Probably there is someone that has access to Adobe Premium and the person share a file with you that is stored on the cloud. Instead of having to send it manually, you access it through this portal. If you have any deleted file here, if you delete any file, you can always have it here, either to delete it permanently or to restore it. You can view it in the grid view, and you can also view it in the list view. To create new, we can do that easily by, let me just click back on home as I just did. You can click on create new to create new document, whichever document you want to work with. I'll get to walk us through this later. And this is where we have open. If you want to open any file that you previously worked on, or whatever it is that you want to open, probably images or whatever it is that you want to open right here, click on it, then you have it opened. This is where we have our recent file. You can sort them the way you want, either by name, size, kind, whatever. Then you can shuffle between the oldest and the newest right here. If I click on this, you see the switch right there. Right here, we have list of files. We can turn it to list view, or we maintain our grid view. And you can search for the recent file, then your old file here. I love this view, so I'll just leave it this way. What's new? These are the new things that I integrated into Photoshop. For 2021, if you want to know the latest feature, like the new developments that Adobe just integrated into Photoshop 2021, click on this. It's going to show up here. You have everything that are being updated right here. Neural filters, sky replacement, everything. There are some little tutorials that we pop up right here just to show you how to do it right there, and many more. Without any further ado, let's get started. Right here, I'm going to explain everything at this top corner once we create our new file. Once I click on create new, I have varieties of options. I can choose a recent format I recently worked with, or I just create a new one right here by changing the width and height, and also change the resolution. Right here, this is where I have my saved file. If there's any format that I saved, probably I want to save any of this, I'm just going to click on this save, then I will set it to times 2 square. Then I'll click on save preset. The moment I have it saved, you find it automatically under saved. You can delete this, you can keep it. The option is left to you. Under photos, this is where we have different layout for photos, the default Photoshop default landscape. We have the one for portrait as well. And these are just the formats that we have right here. Under print, we have different options for what we want to print for. We have the option for letter, for lega, for if for different kind of printing formats that is readily available. Probably you want to work on some certain project and you know exactly how it will be printed. Just come right here, click on this, then you create them, you work with them right there. At an illustration, you want to work on an artwork or illustration, this is your best shot right here. Remember, this is Photoshop. You can do varieties of things in Photoshop. For web, you want to design for web, you have custom layouts here. Just choose the one that you want to work with, then you automatically have it there. For mobile, you have different kind of things you want to do on your mobile design, and all of that. You can just click on it. For instance, if I click on this, it's going to show us the structure for mobile, so we can just walk right here, walk through it, and do what we want. But I'm not doing that right now. Let me go back home, then create new. Let's continue from where we stop. For film and video, yes, you can also edit video in Photoshop. We'll get back to that when we go further in this tutorial video. But for now, let's stick to this design aspect of it. To get started, I just want to create a simple design. I will just work with the regular square format of design. Let's say 1080 by 1080 pixel, our social media post. You can give your design a title here. Let's say example 1. I can save, remember, if I want to save this, I can save it right here. But there's no need for me to save this. The resolution, if you are designing for screen, you need to work with 72 pixel for resolution. However, there are some persons that do not necessarily work within this context of 72 resolution. Some people still go ahead to have about 300 resolution for their design for screen. Yes, there's a way it adds to the quality and every other thing that has to do in design. We'll get back to that later. But for now, just know that for screen, we have 72 resolution. Then if you want to do for printing, we have 300 resolution. Yes, you have this PPI, but I'm going to work with 72 pixel per inches. You can see this is it, pixel per inches. I can decide to choose pixel by centimeter, but I will prefer to work with pixels per inches. Choose your color mode. If you want to print, you'd go for CYMK, and that will be 300 resolution. But since we are doing for web, I'll just stick with, for mobile device, I'll just stick with 72 resolution. Your bits, you can decide to work with 8 bits, you can decide to work with 16 bits, you can decide to work with 32 bits. But most of the time, we work with 8 bits. However, if you work with 16 bits, it gives you more detailed information. It makes your design look more sharp and clear. But then, most of the time, we just stick with 8 bits. For the background, you choose the background color that you want. If you want transparent, you can choose transparent. Whatever you choose, it's going to automatically show on the system. If you click on background color, it's going to give you the primary color that came with the design. For instance, if I switch to black and I click on background color, it's going to go back to white automatically. Same thing if I choose transparent and I choose background color, it's still going to bring it back to white, the default color that came with it while installing. Custom, you can decide to choose the kind of color that you want. Probably you want a different color as background. You can just choose it right here. However, you can always change that while designing. So for now, I'll just stick with the white background. Then advanced option, in case this is closed this way, all you just have to do is click on this, then select the option that you want. I prefer to work with sRGB since I'm working with screen color for now. It depends on what you are working on. You can choose working sRGB, then you can choose this. You can choose varieties of options that are available here. depending on what you are working with. If you know exactly what you want to do, there are varieties of options right here. I'll just choose this for now. Then choose the format. I will advise you to just leave it at square pixels. For this artboard, you can decide to work with artboard. I can decide not to work with artboard. For now, I won't be working with artboard. Okay, let's just see the difference. I'm going to choose this, then I'll create artboard. You can see that we have artboard 1 here. If I want extra artboard, I can just click on this. By right clicking on this, I will select the artboard. Then I will duplicate this particular artboard. All I just have to do is to click on the artboard. Once I click on the artboard, I have option to create more artboard. Duplicate it either by the side or to the top or to this side. You get so varieties of option to create as many artboard as I want, just the way we did in Canva. But if I go back home and just create new, just the way we're coming from, then I decide to uncheck artboard and I just name this example 2. Then all settings just the same way we set it previously. Then I'll just create new. With this, we have no artboard. By this option, if I want to create new artboard and I click on artboard, I won't have that option to just click and create. I will have to manually hold this by clicking again artboard. I will have to manually hold this and drag to the end. Then I will now click the way I want it to go, where I want it to be. So that's the main difference between when you bring in the artboard automatically and when you have to manually generate it. Right here, since we're already here, let me just close the ones that are not needed, as well as this. Nope. Right here, we have everything that we need. We have both this and this. As I do say, whatever you are looking for and you can't find, just go to Windows, then check your workspace. You'll be able to know exactly what you are working with currently. You can see that, for instance, if you open Photoshop, you might have this interface automatically as your first landing interface. And you see that most of the options I have in the previous view is no longer here. That's because most of them moved here and they are arranged in their own style. So there's no limit to how you are to arrange your workspace. It just depends on what you want. However, I love to work with 3D. So I'll go back to my workspace and click on 3D. If you make any kind of mistake or anything, you can always reset your workspace. Just click on workspace the same way Windows workspace, then you have to reset your workspace. Just click on it, then it will reset it to the default setting that it came with. That's just it. Then if you have any of this open and you can't find it on your own tab, just click on this and check through this place. Then you have whatever you need right there. Then you position it to wherever you want to position them. For instance, if I click on pattern or part or whatever it is, let me just click on part. You see that it automatically brought it here. I can decide to change the position to this place. I can decide to change it around. If I bring it right here, it's going to be this way. But if I hold and drag it back to its position, it's going to clip inside this. Most of the time, you want to work with your layer. For adventure, you can't find your layer there. Just the same way we brought in the part. Just click on Windows, then look for L, layers. You have it right there. Your history panel. This is the history panel. This is the color panel. This is swatches. This is your brush panel. This is where you have different brush settings. This is for the brush settings, pardon. And this is the brush. This is where you have your stamp, your clone. For clone source, this is where you have character. This is your paragraph. And you have it together right there. If you want to bring in alignment as well, although that is automatically arranged at the top. If you'll be working with action, you can bring in your action as well. Then it's automatically linked with your history panel. You can bring in anything anywhere. You can decide to say that you want to bring in your character to this side of the view and just arrange it the way you want. If you want it before the history, you can always drag it to the top. Then it will be up ahead right there. Just as simple as that. Briefly, let me explain what this is for, how all of these tools work. I won't be explaining everything because we can't exhaust all the tools, but I'll be explaining basically most of the tool I know that we'll be needing for this class. Right here, this is the move tool. As I do say, move tool is to move things around. This is locked. That's why you can't move it. If you convert to normal layers, you'll be able to move it around to where you want. Most of the time, if you can't move it, probably you just want to do that, you can unlock it. The moment you unlock it, it becomes a layer. Then you have privilege to move it around to wherever you want to move it to. It's as simple as that. I'm going to undo this as well. Remember, if you can't find your layer panel, just come over to Windows, then select layer. Make sure it is checked. Whatever you see that is not checked here, it means that it is not visible on any of this panel here. Back to business. Let me create, okay, for now, let's still hold on. Let me select the marquee tool. This is called marquee tool. Yes, the shortcut for the move tool is B. The shortcut for the marquee tool is M. You can select this. Once you have this is used for varieties of option. You can have it in the rectangular form or have it in any form that you want. By right-clicking on this, you can select the circle form, the circular form. For instance, if I use the rectangular form and I select this part, then I hit delete, it won't work because this is locked. It will only change it to content aware visibility. If I want it to automatically fill, we'll see what content aware work for later. But for now, let me delete this, unlock this, then select delete on your keyboard. You see that it automatically deleted that part that we added this marquee tool on. So right here, if I create anything in this box, it will automatically fit into this shape. If you want to deselect your marquee tool, just click on Ctrl D to deselect, Ctrl plus D to deselect on your keyboard. Right here, if I select this shape and I create probably a circle here by holding down Shift, it's going to be visible to us. I don't want the stroke. I'm going to get rid of the stroke and bring in just a regular color. You see that? Just perfect, right? That is the way the marquee tool works. It deletes a part that we don't want. However, there is a non-destructive way to delete a part of an object without having it deleted. I will just show you that briefly. Let me undo this. Ctrl Z to undo. Back to this. If I want to delete this, but I still want to keep this part, there's a way to do that. Some of you might say Ctrl J, where Ctrl J is for duplicating. What I'll select is the max, layer max right here. I'm going to add layer max. You see that it take away the bigger part of it and left this. But what we want to do is the reverse case, right? What I'm going to do to avoid it from selecting a little portion is I'm going to alt click this. I'll click on alt, then this. You see that it's automatically hide this. Don't click alt in layer max. It will change it to black. Yes. This is what you do. You come to this part of the layer. Make sure your layer is unlocked. Then come to this part where we have the hard marks. Hold down alt on your keyboard. Then click this. You see that it automatically took away that part, just the same way we click on delete. So right here, if I hold down shift, then select this, I will have my view back the same way it was from the beginning. That is the non-destructive way to keep my layers using the marquee tool. Back to business, I'm going to undo all this process. Same way, if you want to use the circular part of it, I'm going to click on this and just create a shape right here. I'm going to unlock my layer and probably just delete it. You see that, Ctrl D to deselect. You can see that it created this circle form inside the square shape. I'm going to undo this. That's just how the marquee tool work. It can switch between the rectangle and the circular tool. For this lasso tool, I'm going to show us an example of what lasso tool works for. Let me bring in an image to make it quite interesting. There are two ways to bring in a file to Photoshop. I can do it this way. File, under File, go to Place Embedded. I'll select the file that I want, then I place it. Right here, you can hold down Alt to drag it proportionately, then fit it here. Or you can manually drag it in from your file directly. Let me hide this. I'll just drag this in, then it's going to drop right here. Then I will expand it just by holding down Alt to make it fit proportionately. However, there's another smart way to move. If you don't want to go through this way, there's another smart way to move. I'll just click on this image, then I will hold and drag it to the top here. What I'm saying it is that open it on a fresh page. I'm going to drop it right here. Then it opens on a fresh page. You see that it automatically opens this on a fresh page, unlike dragging it and placing inside this shape or this structure. You see that this maintains the square shape while this brings it entirely to a new structure. Back to business. Right here, I'm just going to hold this. I said I want to show us an example of how this work. Well, this image might be too complex to work with, so let me bring in another image instead. So right here, I'll be working with this image. Right here, this is the lasso tool. L is the shortcut. I'll just click on the lasso tool. I will come right here to just select this randomly very fast and just highlight this. What it's going to do is it's going to select this part. Whatever I command it to do on this part is going to automatically do it. However, you might want to convert your shape to rasterize layer first, depending on what you want to work on. If I right click on this and I change it to rasterize layer, it's going to automatically allow me to do whatever I need to do easily. For instance, let me Ctrl Z this, then let me delete any part of this. It's not going to work because it's a smart object layer. It's not directly editable. However, if I click on Ctrl J, it's going to duplicate this. Just see what we just did. It automatically duplicated that part of the layer. But if you want to do anything more flexible, I would advise you to convert it to a rasterized layer, then select this part and just delete it as you wish. You see that? Or you can just bring in your content aware. This is how the content aware work. You can decide to delete this by using content aware fill. I'll just go to edit. Under edit, click on fill. Under fill, make sure it is set to content aware. Then leave it at color adaptation. Hit OK. You see that it automatically fill this. As simple as that. Or you just hit F5 on your keyboard, Shift F5. Once you hit Shift F5 on your keyboard, you should have the option for content aware. Right there, F5, Shift F5, then you can just click OK. Then you have the same effect right there. So one of the things this lasso tool is for is to trace. However, to trace more perfectly, I will advise you to go with polygon lasso tool. It gives you the flexibility to choose from edge to edge, but you have to patiently do that. You might want to consider zooming in by holding down Alt on your keyboard and scroll your mouse in or to the top as if you are scrolling up. Then you have the option to work with the lasso tool and just select as you want. I'm just going to select this randomly just to show you exactly what I mean. With this, if I hit Shift F5, although it's not going to give me the perfect result, but it's just to show you an idea of what I was talking about. Ctrl D, you can see that we have it deleted, though not perfect because some area we didn't select enough part for it to work with. But that's just to show you an idea of what I'm talking about. But if I Ctrl J this, you will see that it's going to give me something close to what we need. You can try that out to see how it works. Most photo editors use this tool. They use this tool in making their daily life work easy. This is the quick selection tool. It's the opposite of this. It makes things much more faster. For instance, if I want to highlight this, just see it's going to highlight it easily without stress of having to go through all of that. Then you'll be like, why don't you just explain this to us? It has a lot of tricks and terminology. Just the same way with this as well, where we have the parts that you have to select, the selection, where we have the add selection, subtract selection, we have the intersect selection, we have varieties of options. Same thing with this here. We had the hard selection, we have the select selection, we have the subtract selection. For instance, if I click on subtract selection right here, it's going to deselect a part of where I previously selected. You can see that. Let me zoom in more for you to see what just happened right there. Control Z. You see that everywhere around this angle was selected, but right here it deselected some parts. But if I click on it again, it's going to automatically add them back. So that's what hard and minus work for. Let me zoom this out. Also, we have another one that is called the magic wand tool. This magic wand tool, it is used to select the same color of different portion. For instance, if I select this part and I select this, it's going to select only the white. But if I hit here, it's going to select all the reds. See that it's excluding the white from the selection. It's doing its best to interpret it that all we want to select around this is just the red. But if I switch back to the white, it's going to select the white color alone. That's what magic wand selection work for. For instance, if you want to remove the background from design, okay, let's take a look at this part. If I click on this and I click on delete, it's going to automatically delete the back area of it. That's one of the tools that this one works for. You see that it's interpreted this, though not perfect, but to some barest minimum, it's removed the background right here. I'm going to undo all this process. Then let's see what this one work for. This is for selecting objects in a design. If I highlight this part of the design, this is going to interpret this in a progressive way. Then it's going to select a part of where I want. Although I don't use this most of the time. Whenever I want to use this, I use it maybe when I want to select a logo in a design or some particular special objects in a design. That's when I make use of it most. Not all the time. I really don't use it all the time. You see that it automatically highlighted the phone area. Though it's not perfect, then you can bring in your either your quick selection tool to add to it by clicking on plus to add the labeled area that you want and minus area to deselect the parts that you don't want. So see how the brush tool work. I'm going to create a max here. Once I create a max here, I'm going to paint around this. You might not see what is going on right now, but let me hide this. Then you see that it deleted a part of this easily, but we still have it right here because if I hold shift and click on this, we have everything back in structure. So it's one of the non-destructive way to get rid of objects. However, if I want to bring back a part that I previously erased, I'll just hold X because when we have it black, it makes it disappear. But when we have it white, to bring it back, it makes it visible. You see that everything is coming back. So sweet. You can change your brush option, though you can change it to add brush or just click right here, select add brush, add round, then just paint around to bring it back. Just that way. Easy peasy. Okay, that is how it works. Okay, we can just take a practical example of this as well. You see that takes away a part of this and just make it disappear. Just that way. We can also bring it back by clicking on X. You see, it brings everything back in their own shape, in their own, yeah, in their own structure. It keeps detail of everything in the max. So it's only maxing it out. It didn't completely delete it. That's how the brush tool can be very effective. You can try that in your next editing or whatever you want to do. To the clone tool, this is called the clone tool. S is the shortcut for it. For this clone tool, if I click right here, let's say I want to expand my brush size. Let me make it a bit smaller by holding down the open bracket. And I click on this Alt. You have to hold down Alt to select a clone part. Oh, the reason why I'm having empty layer selected is because I have it maxed. You have to undo the max. We don't need the max. Let me just undo the process to this point. With my clone tool selected, make sure you have it as a rasterized layer and not a smart object layer. Right here, you see that it's showing us what can be cloned. That's because I've cloned this already. If I paste it right here, it's going to become visible. You see just that, like magic, right? It replicates a piece of information that you select. For instance, if I alt click this, it's going to paste right here. You see, that is how the clone stamp works. It replicates a part of your design. It's being used to fix some part of design. We'll get back to all these details when we are doing some kind of manipulation, advanced graphic design. But for now, let's stick to the simple aspect of it. For the brush tool, it works just like the brush tool. Uh, sorry, I mean the eraser tool. Pardon. This is A for eraser. You can always expand the size. Remember, close bracket to expand the size, open bracket to reduce the size. Just the way we use our max for brush area. The only difference with this is you don't necessarily need a max to erase a layer. Just make sure that it is converted to layer first. Then you can erase around it and just do whatever you want to do. Let me hide this. You see that it automatically deleted the layer. The problem with eraser is you can't alternate. You can't bring back what you deleted except you have it on a max part. Okay, let's take for instance, we have this masked, right? Then we use the eraser tool. Let me hide the background so you can see exactly what's going on here. Now let me alternate this. You can bring it back just the same way we used our brush tool. So that's how interesting it is. That's what the eraser tool works for. For instance, if I click on the brush tool, you see that if I paint around this, it's not going to do anything to the background of it. It's only painting around. That's the difference between the eraser tool and brush tool. The eraser automatically deletes. It is called eraser. It's not for painting. The brush tool is literally for painting and some advanced technique, especially if you're into artwork. You can use the brush tool to do some kind of magic for your art. We have various variety of brush tool. I didn't make mention of that. You can right click here. Then you have the pencil tool. You have color replacement tool. You have the mixer brush. All this the work magic. For the paint bucket tool, we'll get back to how to use the paint bucket tool. This is the text tool. This is the one we use for creating our text for design. I want to believe at this point you are not new to design, so I won't be explaining deep what the text tool is being used for. We all know how it works, literally know how it works. So you can just edit your text and do whatever you like. You can either create a text shape layer and just create your text, or you just click on it to bring in your text, then work with it. As simple as that. For the pen tool, so this one is quite crazy, but we'll get back to that. This is what you use to do most of the creative works here in Photoshop. For this, it is called part selection tool. It's used to select a part, to move a part around, or direct selection tool. This is called the shape tool. We've used it several times in design. It's used to create form of shape. To see more option of the shape, just right click on it. Then you see the rectangular shape. You see the rounded rectangle shape. You see the ellipse tool. You see the polygon tool. You see the line tool. You see the custom shape tool. The custom shape, you can adjust it right here. You can change it to whatever you want, either leaf, wide animal. Then once you just have it clicked, for instance, if I click on this and I just click here, hold and drag, then hold shift, is going to automatically form this shape for you right here. You can see a lot of dots because this is the part that is being formed. You can adjust the part. That's one of the usefulness of the pen tool to create different kind of part. I can just give this color, maybe let's say this, or let's see if it comes out well. We can change the stroke. You don't want any stroke, or you can just give it white stroke around that. You see, that's just the way it works. The shape layer tool brings in shape automatically. We don't need this for now. So let's get back to where we stop. This polygon tool is used different kind of size. You can decide to make it 5 size, 10 size, 10-sided polygon. I mean, 5-sided polygon, 3-sided polygon. When it is 3-sided, it gives you some kind of triangle. It's as simple as that. That's what it gives. But when it is 5, you can have it as, let's say, right there, you have it 5-sided polygon, stuff like that. For the hand tool, as usual, is used to move things when you zoom in, and it's used to reset it back to fit the screen. Yes. For instance, if I zoom in right now, I can use the hand tool to move things around. It's just the work of the hand tool, but you can also double click on it to bring it back to position. For the zoom tool, just to zoom in, you can zoom out right there, or just hold Alt to alternate between zooming in and zooming out. This is where we have more option. Eyedropper tool is used to select color automatically to sample color. If I click on this now and I click on this, just watch this panel here. What's going to happen to this right here? You see that the foreground color automatically change. That is what it is used for. If I select another part of it, it's going to change it to the foreground color. If I select this part, it's going to change it again to the foreground color. You see that the foreground color keep changing. However, if you want to bring your foreground color back to the primary color that it came with, just click here. It's going to bring it back. Or you switch between black and white by clicking on this. That is the way it works. To see more options, just right click. Then you see all the varieties of options that we have here. Probably you want to bring in frame. You want to bring in frame right here. Just click on this. Once you have it, just bring in, probably you want to position an image inside of this. I can just go to our file and bring in image. Just hold and drag it, drop it. It's going to automatically fit into the frame that you created. You can give it strokes, you can give it whatever you like. You can work with it, adjust it to your own preference and your own taste. To give you a stroke, just click on this. Then you have the option for stroke right here to change the color and the size. You can see that that's the way it works. As simple as that. We have option for gradients too. We have varieties of option. The triangle tool, instead of creating it with the polygon, you can create your triangle tool right here. Text, vertical text match tool, we have them right here. Everything that you want to work with. The patch tool, the healing brush for some kind of amendment in the design. We have every single thing right here. Finally, let me just give you an overview of this, just as I explained when we were working with Adobe After Effects. These are the things where we have most of the options we have at the Home tab. We also have it right here. You can access them right here. You can open your recent file here. You can close this particular project that we're working on, or if we have varieties of projects open, let's say for instance, I go back home and I open this. Let's say I open this and I want to close it. I'm just going to click on file. It's going to close only this. But if I click on close all, it's going to close every single thing that I open. So I'm just going to close this. I'll leave only this one open right there. Close others. Probably let me open many projects. If I open many projects right here and I click on close others, it's going to close others and leave this one open. You can save this by Control S. We all know how to save that already. You can save on cloud if you have access to cloud. And you can also save on your computer if you have access to your computer, which you obviously do have access to save on your computer. It's as simple as that. To save on your computer, click on Save on Computer. Then you are going to select the option to save in a particular location that you want to save it to. You have the option to save it in the location you want to save it to right here. Make sure it is set to Photoshop format, except you want to save it in another format, so that when you want to access it later, you have the option to access it. We'll talk about all these various options that are available later, but for now, let's stick with saving it as PSD, Photoshop format. Then you can make sure the ICC color profile is selected so that you can keep all your color. You can save as copy, you can save, then click on save, then it will automatically save this file that we are working with. If it brings any other option later, just click OK, then you have it saved. For the edits, we'll work more with this later. Also for the images option to adjust some things, we'll work more with this later. For layers, to create different kind of layers, which we already have the option right here. We'll get back to all of this later. The type as well, we'll work on this select, we'll still work with these other ones later as we did. You see, when I wanted to select, to deselect, Control D, to reselect, Control Shift D, to invert selection and all of that, we'll get to work with all of this. For filter, we'll still come to this where we are doing advanced editing, the 3D, different option for 3D, your view, things that are visible on your PC, things that you want to make available. For instance, you need a guide, you need a grid, everything that you want to work with right here is just in this box. For plugins, if you have any plugin that you install on your PC and you want to link it to your design, you can bring them in right there. For Windows, I spoke about that already. You can arrange stuff the way you want right here. But I really don't play with this. I just love it the way it's set out here. If you need help, you can always come to this tab. And this will bring us to the end of this first part of Photoshop. Welcome to the journey. I hope it is not a whole lot to digest. However, I will advise you to listen to this or watch over and over. It's not a podcast, so I advise you to watch over and over till you understand how these things work. And you can do a practical example of how these things work. You can see further tutorial videos. By the time we come back in our next class, I will explain with practical examples of how Photoshop works. See you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.